Details on a new Arkansas law aiming to protect children from the effects of social media. What parents need to know about these new regulations.
And it's going to be another one of those windy days today, but at least the trade-off is that this afternoon going to be nice and warm outside. That's all coming up.
The local fire department works to clear up confusion about voluntary fire dues. More on the proposed change to how those dues are collected.
First, a live look outside in Bentonville. Look at that sunrise. It's gorgeous out there. Good morning to you. 5 News This Morning is now.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News This Morning.
Well, good morning. Thanks so much for waking up with Here's here live on Channel 5 and streaming all morning on 5+. We're off to a great start today. Big story everybody wants to know, just tuning in continuously because could be rain on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, more than likely this Easter weekend, not great for most. Going to be a wet weekend, some storms as well, at least until then. It's going to be nice for today, just windy outside. You take a look at what we're tracking over the next couple of days. Warm and windy for us, not only today, but for tomorrow. Those daytime highs climbing back up into the 80s. Should feel very nice outside, but if you have to spend a long amount of time outside today, that wind can get annoying pretty quickly. Of course, that first storm risk back into the forecast is going to be late Friday night going into Saturday. So again, most of your Friday is actually going to be dry. The storm chances do increase though by the time we get to the overnight hours and going into our Saturday as well. Your Easter Sunday forecast doesn't look fantastic. More than likely, we're going to be dealing with some rain. We're going to be dealing with some storms throughout the end of the weekend. Current temperatures out there to start off your Thursday morning. Good morning to you there in Ozark, 61 degrees. 63 is our warm spot there in Fayetteville, 64 in Poto, 61 there in West Fork, and 58 in Alma. All over the place. We're starting off on the warmer side today. This afternoon, pretty nice as well. Northwest Arkansas, the rest of the day today looks like this. Upper 70s, low 80s. Those winds really the only thing that we have to deal with for today. Across the River Valley, no issue reaching up into those low 80s. Let's get a check of traffic so far this morning. Here's a live look out across, where are we? I-49 there in Fayetteville. Good morning to you there. No accidents across 49 or I-40 this morning. That drive into work, or if you're getting ready for school, looks just fine.
Well, taking a live look at the state capitol in Little Rock this morning at 6:32. Arkansas's 95th legislative session has now come to a close, wrapping up several months of committee meetings, public comment, and votes. Governor Sanders closed out the session with a bill signing ceremony and news conference.
She spoke on what her administration accomplished this legislative session.
For too long, our government has been enslaved to powerful special interests. Not anymore. We do not work for them. We work for the people of Arkansas. In this session, we delivered.
Democratic Party leaders at the state capitol also held a news conference after they wrapped up the session.
The lawmakers pointed to many of the causes that they fought for this year while in the legislative minority.
This session will be remembered for out-of-control spending on misguided policies, power grabs away from the people of Arkansas, and divisive national politics continuing to seep into our state.
You can find all of our coverage from the 95th legislative session on our website, 5newsonline.com. Also follow any developments on court challenges filed against the new laws in the months ahead. Well, Governor Sanders has signed a bill into law prohibiting firms known as pharmacy benefit managers from also owning retail drugstores.
PBMs run prescription drug coverage for big clients such as health insurers and employers that provide coverage. CVS spent weeks of lobbying and asking the governor to veto it. They issued a statement saying in part that the new law will hike prescription drug spending and cost hundreds of jobs.
The governor has also signed legislation placing more regulations on social media in Arkansas. Senator Tyler Dees is a sponsor of the bill. He says when it takes effect, parents will be able to sue for damages, medical bills, and attorney fees if a social media platform contributes to the serious harm of a minor. The bill does not apply to advertisements created and hosted by third parties or anything protected under First Amendment free speech rights.
Well, the Gravette Fire Department wants to change the way it collects voluntary fire dues. However, the department says those fees will not be going up. Right now, they collect fire dues for out-of-city limit residents through the mail. If voters approve the measure, they'll pay it through their property taxes. The department currently serves over 3,000 out-of-city limits and has less than 50% participation in dues. The director of EMS says that they want to use an increase in funds to hire someone to cover out-of-town calls.
Demand for emergency response comes before the financial part normally, so this is our way of trying to be proactive and stay ahead of that, and you know, we want to provide high quality emergency services to everyone when they call 911 and not just, you know, those that it's convenient for. We're on the low side.
That measure is on the ballot for a special election come May 13th.
Our area continues to experience explosive growth, and with that comes major challenges. At its spring meeting, the Northwest Arkansas Council gathered together regional leaders to tackle issues. The council is bringing in outside help like DPZ Co-Design to map a long-term regional growth strategy. Leaders say the goal is to protect the region's green spaces, small-town charm, and sense of community while building smart infrastructure.
We need to be better on infrastructure. We need to be better on planning on where we want, whether it's industrial, commercial, or housing, of where that goes and how we accommodate that.
Healthcare is also top of mind with too few residency slots to train doctors. Washington Regional and other partners are creating 76 new positions to help fill that gap. The council's consultants plan to share draft strategies this fall and finalize a regional growth vision in 2026.
Taking a live look out in Fort Smith, where today the city is hosting a public meeting, which will be on the sales and use tax ballot. Voters can cast their ballots on May 13th to decide whether to reauthorize a 2022 tax, which would help fund the police department and consent decree work. Voters will also decide whether to reallocate part of a 1% tax to pay for work and bonds. Tonight's meeting will start at 6 at the Public Library Community Room. And this morning, fallout over new warnings from the Fed chair that President Trump's tariffs could trigger an economic slowdown.
Meanwhile, the White House continues to double down on the deportation of hundreds of migrants to an El Salvador prison. Jared Hill has more.
President Donald Trump on social media touted progress in his trade talks with Japan as the head of the Federal Reserve warned his sweeping tariffs could cause serious economic slowdown.
The tariffs are larger than forecasters had expected, certainly larger than we expected.
Likely driving up prices and raising unemployment.
We're making America great again.
Today, President Trump is set to host the Prime Minister of Italy, with whom he shares a positive relationship. This as California announced it's suing to stop the tariffs.
The uncertainty is pronounced and it is profound in the state of California.
Meanwhile, Wednesday, a federal judge said there's probable cause to hold the Trump administration in contempt over the deportation of more than 200 migrants to a prison in El Salvador. The judge gave the administration 1 week to either come up with a plan to bring them back or name whoever refused his order to turn the planes around at the time. The White House planning to appeal the case while standing firm on the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
He will never live in the United States of America again.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen traveled to El Salvador yesterday, but wasn't allowed to see or speak with Abrego Garcia. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Well, the White House criticized Senator Van Hollen's trip on Wednesday, calling it a waste of taxpayer dollars.